Today, we're going to be looking at this year's Pride campaigns. We're going to be looking at what worked, what didn't work, and a whole lot more.
Wow, 2023 was a weird year in many ways. For me, what I was left thinking at the end of last year was what didn't work was brands were kind of not really being authentic, and they were saying, right, it's okay when we're having great positive responses and everyone's loving the rainbow products that we're putting out, but as soon as there's a jot of potential backlash or reputational issue, I think we were really reminded that brands have to do more to demonstrate to the community that they're really committed to this, and that this isn't just a play for that share of the pink wallet, you know?
Oh, so just like from a perspective of LGBTQ events such as Pride, our own events as well, we've seen that backlash, and charities as well, that some of that backlash against LGBTQ and particularly the trans community has meant some brands have taken a bit of a more conservative approach and stepped back from doing some of this work and really looking at that intersectional representation and representation where there's a little bit of risk. So I would say, like, it's still about being brave, and we're seeing some brands do really well from really challenging, that status quo and just sticking to their guns.
I just think that we finally saw how many people have been pinkwashing for the last couple of years. Because everyone was under such scrutiny, I think, from the community to do better. We saw how many brands hadn't started from a very authentic place in the first place and then got scared about taking part and then didn't so this year.
Okay, so we've looked back. Let's move on to what we think is working now.
I think the common throughput for me, and I would put words in everyone watching's mouth, but it's all about proximity to the community itself. If you can genuinely demonstrate that you've actually spoken to the community, if you've actually involved them, if you've actually supported them, represented them, and if money is flowing from you back to them, then kind of representation and authenticity you don't need to talk about it because it is just real. So
what I'd like to do is ask each of the panelists, what do you think's up next in this space? Rich?
I think we did some research, about 450 people in total, qualitative research, and they were all asking for less sensationalized representation and more boring. And the next thing I hope to see is just brands being inquisitive and finding that connection, find what connects your community with any community, and then start interrogating it and be inquisitive.
Yeah, a couple of things that, like, I've touched on it. Be brave. I think that looks different for different brands, but I'd also say as well, utilising how we have purpose behind our brand a bit more and working out what that looks like for the gay LGBTQ community. It can be a vast array of different things and what your brand can offer. Also multi-dimensional stuff, like not just looking at one-dimensional advertising, but also looking at how that resonates and engagement in social media and different things like that with the gay community, LGBTQ community.
I think from a different perspective, I think the format of things is going to change. I think we're going to continue to see a lot more short-form video, and I think we're going to see a lot more micro-influencers and LGBTQ+ influencers being used and leveraged by maybe this mid-sized brand that's asked about this. If you don't have it in-house, then find someone in the community to be your mouthpiece. So I think we're going to see a lot more engagement with influencers.
Amazing. So looking to the future, we're talking about more boring with more connection, being brave, having purpose, representation, being multidimensional, and thinking about formats and influencers.